Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.
I'm for saying we just to put on notice there. Men starting food.
This
one is a non-surprise surprise.
Non-surprise.
Kwame.
Abdul Malik.
This U.S. report.
Yeah.
Oyaja is almost like a tradition now. In actual fact, it began somewhere in 1977.
It began 77.
Yes, American food decided there. Or best started the way the margin. Yet then earlier when you pieces, diplomatic staff were sent messages. Sakai WikiLeaks.
Yeah, Sakai WikiLeaks.
They go back to the 1960 Nkrumah days now. There were all sorts of reports they sent on the CPP and Nkrumah government and all the rest. And see, it is not as if it's a new creation as about making this particular series of reports in consonance according to them with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is a UN
1948
charter. Kabila na Alotenia will make references. Let me read BB and some may proceed to the details. How the Americans themselves consider this report. One Wakanda, the first reports in 1977 covered only countries receiving U.S. aid. Note that, numbering about 82. Report here, Mikitawahe, this one is the 1999 one. It was this year, 194 reports are submitted. Now there are many now. Now, let me tell you, one will prepare this report. Also, our embassies, which prepared the initial drafts of the reports, gathered information throughout the year from a variety of sources across the political spectrum, including government officials, jurists, military sources, journalists, human rights monitors, academics, and labor activists. Then it goes forward to say that this information gathering can be hazardous, and the U.S. Foreign Service officers regularly go to great lengths under trying and sometimes dangerous conditions to investigate reports of human rights abuse, monitor elections, and come to the aid of individuals at risk, such as political dissidents and human rights defenders whose rights are threatened by their governments. After the embassies completed their drafts, the texts were sent to Washington for careful review by the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor, in cooperation with other State Department offices. As they work to collaborate, analyze, and edit the reports, the department officers drew on their own sources of information. This included reports provided by the U.S. and other human rights groups, foreign government officials, representatives from the United Nations, and other international and regional organizations and institutions, and experts from academia and the media. Officers also consulted with experts on worker rights issues, refugee issues, military and police matters, women's issues, and legal matters. The guiding principle was to ensure that all relevant information was assessed as objectively, thoroughly, and fairly as possible. And then say the purpose. The reports in this volume, this is 1999, but it goes for all.
Okay.
As the rationale, the principle, the philosophy. Also, the reports in this volume will be used as a resource for shaping policy, conducting diplomacy, and making assistance, mark that again, training and other resource allocations. They also serve as a basis for the U.S. government's cooperation with private groups to promote the observance of internationally recognized human rights. So this is the whole political basis, rationale behind this. And Kwame, it's been going on, as we say, in Ghana context within the Fourth Republic for years, where under the PNDC2, the reports were coming. On your one could say Becca in Amnesty International. So where search reports. There are other groups, Freedom House, where search reports. So many Ghana Hankasa, we tend to underestimate some of our own reports. Shraj, there were reports over the years. Yeah, sure they need. Yes, but Shraj, even Electoral Commission, I agree with you. And Shraj, what we report, in fact, the US human rights report, sometimes they quote from Shraj reports. And Shraj reports, now not just the politics. Sometimes the kind of violations that go on in the countryside there, sexual harassment, female genital, all those things. And this US report, if you take a look at it, there were various categories. For example, the one I introduced, the LBGT, first name
LGBTQX.
QIAEQ. Dot.
Yeah, I've been advised not to.
No, you shouldn't.
It's hate language.
It's hate language. Hate speech.
What is that?
Lunatic in the
You've been using China.
Abbreviation of.
No, Lu, you've been using China.
And Pennyfubi frame there, I shouldn't say that because, in fact, upon reflection, I thought they were right.
It's not upon reflection, it's hate speech.
Yes, I agree. Banka is withdrawn. And, apologies rendered. Into Kwame. And within the Ghanaian contest, from the PNDC time to now, these reports, fortunately or unfortunately, are a tool for political agitation and propaganda. I have to be honest. Consistently, it has been so. And political parties or groups, different groups, use it for different purposes. For
score political points. To score political points.
To score political points. We have established that kind of subculture in dealing with these reports. And I'm not surprised. As Alote was saying, social media, it's flowing. And there's a debate there. Now,
so it's become an anti-government report.
Yes, I'm not inclined to discredit these reports. I'm also not like naive to say that everything or woman is gospel truth, because my analysis of some of these reports are not factually accurate. Somebody got it wrong. It's like the WikiLeaks crowd. Some of the things based on gossips. These diplomats talk to some journalists or talk to some civil society people here, and they put it as a report and send it. Whether a gospel truth or not is captured in the cables. And when it leaks, then it becomes a subject matter, and this huge argument. I mean, my member example, and you see also one was some template, and that's very interesting. That are repetitive,
which is
over the years. My me who there can for just one, for two to illustrate my point. Equal category be our denial of fair public trial. It's constant. It's a constant category in all the reports. Now, this report, this is 2015 report. Let me start from rather the present one, the current one. The current one, which is the 2021, because 2022 hasn't come out.
Yeah, because this report is for 2021.
I mean, so you, this is the 2021, that category, denial of fair public trial. While the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, the judiciary was subject to unlawful influence and corruption.
Unlawful influence and corruption.
Yes, judicial officials reportedly accepted bribes to expedite or postpone cases, loosening quotes, records, which we all know, dockets, or issue favorable rulings for the payer of the bribe. This is what is in the current report when it comes to the category of denial of fair public trial.
Yeah.
There were about 8 or 9 of the reports here. Which one? This is 2015. Now listen carefully to that category. While the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, it was subject to unlawful influence and corruption. Judicial officials reportedly accepted bribes to expedite or postpone cases or to lose records. Word for word.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Same
Yeah.
So say a template.
A year 2014. That category. While the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, the judiciary was subject to influence and corruption. Judicial officials reportedly accepted bribes to expedite or postpone cases or to lose records.
Template.
This is 2014.
So it's a template.
It's a template. That's a word for it. Which one is this? This is 2012.
Yeah.
2012.
2012.
That category was while the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, the judiciary was inefficient and subject to influence and corruption.
Copy and paste.
Ojam. So is it that why are you in there?
So it is nothing new.
No, apart from that, the trend, not there, we're profiling and categorize that into a certain box. Into amphibian, what you're the same thing about us. Is that what it is?
Of social construction.
A year 2016. The same category. Denial of fair public trial. While the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, it was subject to unlawful influence and corruption. Judicial officials reportedly accepted bribes to expedite or postpone cases or to lose records. I can go on and on and on.
If I involve them to
don't go on. Now you're beginning to sound like you're reading a hymn from the same page.
It's the same with the category of arbitrary deprivation of life and human other unlawful or politically motivated killings. This let's start with the current one.
That's the 2021.
Yes. What did they say? Also, there were few reports that the government or its agents committed arbitrary or unlawful killings. Officers charged with investigating security forces killings include the Special I think you had read that Special Investigation Branch of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Police Professional Standards Bureau. And then on June 26, they give a specific
Mohammed Kaka
thing. It's stated here.
There's 21.
Yeah, this
is the current report.
Yes, this is the now. This is the 2016. There were several reports that the government or its agents committed arbitrary or unlawful killings. For example, in May, police in Kumasi allegedly beat a suspect to death. Now, Niniano, the government is mentioned, and they will say government or its agents. Now, say read the report into details. The specifics they give are either police
or
military or other security services killing civilians. But of course, they still use the word government. My understanding is that government agents.
These are agencies.
What's a government or agent?
So can we also say George Floyd was killed by government agents?
Well, you see,
the logic.
By the logic. But maybe, however, the truth of the matter, and I make a damn, I don't discredit this report.
You can learn from it.
A report that indirectly one can see one has been a beneficiary. in terms of highlighting of some of our plights. For instance, the 1999, the 2000, which is the 1999 report, that was published on February 25, 2000. Echo judicial side there were continued credible reports that members of the police beat prisoners and other citizens and arbitrarily arrested and detained persons. Police corruption is a problem. Prison conditions remain harsh and prolonged pre-trial detention remained a problem. Inadequate resources and a system vulnerable to political and economic influence compromise the integrity of the overburdened judicial system. The government sometimes infringed on citizens' privacy rights. The government continued to prosecute 2 criminal libel cases. In 1998, 3 independent journalists were jailed following legally flawed contempt of court cases, strengthening the perception that the judiciary operates under the influence of the executive.
Baako Harunata Baby Ansaba.
Exactly.
You are now the late Baby Ansaba.
Exactly. In November, a journalist was sentenced to 3 months in jail and fined about $460 after being found guilty in a criminal libel case.
Ibenkwako. The late Ibenkwako.
And this is factual. You can debate whether the analysis that it was legally flawed or not. Only subject to debate.
Yeah.
But the fact that yes, this happened is a fact. Equal Amnesty International reports. Now we are there from the 80s. All the arrests and detentions and is in there. The attitude is not to discredit this report. It's to study it carefully. Ask question. Why there certain trends appear to remain constant or recurrent? It's a wake-up call. Sure. There is something about your systems, about your institutions. Look, the NRC report is one huge report. Ghana Kasa, manufacture, quote unquote. I don't mean fabricator. What I mean is that a report based on a commission of the National Reconciliation Commission. It was based on an act of parliament. Get a copy of the full report. Read their recommendations and observations. And ask yourself whether you be about them to the extent there, police impunity, military brutality, you take care of them or not. He's trying. People claiming put there. He's changing the image of the police, but there are still a lot of things happening. A lot of police omissions.
Been a bullion van robbery.
Yes, can you believe that? A report. I'm a fan from that angle, and I don't go back to ask the U.S. about their moral authority because indeed. U.S. first of all was big. It's a big country. Population is so big. Some of the reports are UN here and a Freedom House here. Oba media, there are terrible human rights violations of journalists' rights for U.S. If a table now, sometimes African countries we come better. We are rated better than them. But you see, because it's so big, and also population is so. And then, of course, for long history, they are about 200 and something years in terms of their democratic thing. And they have one institutions, despite all the imperfections. I think they have stronger institutions than we have. Into sometimes they are able to punish or contain. But don't forget, they have cold cases, some lasting 30, 40 years. And so are resolved with even the benefit of technology, which is helping them.
Matthias, New 1955. Well, it's not. They've not got it.
Yes. So, to be honest, I will not attack the Americans because of this report. No. This report has been here for a long time. Some of us have used it as a basis for political agitation, mobilization, and conscientization. It would be unfair to ourselves if we turn around and say that, because this report is unfavorable to Ghana today, bogus. It's a negative attitude to take. We should be asking ourselves, the culture of impunity affect institutions of state or create problems, challenges for citizens in terms of their rights. Yes, there are other aspects I ignore, like in your traditional customary violations of people's how even when we treat widows and things, how wizards and witches. You don't want question, baby. Is in that report. It appears that people sometimes are only interested in those that sound political,
because that is where the mischief can continue.
Exactly, or that reflects on the judiciary. We highlight those and we forget. Now they've even highlighted I was going back to my. Now they are highlighted. Now there's one interesting thing about the reports in the Fourth Republic. Consistently, and it's in all the reports about category disappearance. What's it? There were no reports of politically motivated disappearances. Then political prisoners. No reports of that is constant also in all the reports.
I see.
Unlike pre-constitutional era, where there were cases of political motivated disappearances and political prisoners.
According to Kwesi Pratt, over 246 Ghanaians.
Yes. For instance, you know, my brother Pratt had a mission, a crusade of locating 247 people who disappeared into thin air in the PNDC era. The last report, the 1999 one, referenced it. That the police, and indeed the report was right, the police issued a statement in response to Kwesi's campaign.
Oh, they responded to Kwesi Pratt?
Yes, that they will take steps to investigate. The report refers to the police statement and then says that in spite of that, nothing happened. But now there is no evidence or no report of people who disappeared because of politics. Kwame, for instance, your man, who was also my man,
B.B. Bismarck.
Yes, was it? I don't think you know what. Yes, you know, that's a classic example of the disappearance I'm talking about. There were many more. Kwesi had a list. Ghana Bar Association had a list. Both of them were talking about 247 who disappeared into thin air. If a post-military dictatorship, the reports don't refer to that. Of course, 1995 reports which I have here, they refer to Unlawful Killings.
Okay.
Subsequent reports, meanwhile, police are shooting to demonstrators. ABC was Swami. Secondly, all those things are captured here. They are realities. Those things happen. There are a few things that are factually inaccurate. For instance, they make a point about the Electoral Commission in the early days. That is 19. Peace FM. That's when the Electoral Commission was formed. Yes, a very serious error. I mean, one serious error was that the composition of the Electoral Commission had political party representation. That's flawed.
Well, we were learning, weren't we?
Yeah, but we didn't even have.
So
you ask yourself how that
anomaly came to be.
If no, they are even saying it was that there were party representatives on the EC. I recall rather INEC opposition were insisting that is the Woma party. Togo had an example. Togolese transition had that. Yeah, so we were insisting. Indeed, yesterday INEC even the the IPAC minutes the MPP and the opposition parties PCP brought it back. The one party representatives on the EC. Because
you didn't trust the government
exactly,
at that time.
It was a trust matter. But I mean, with the benefit of hindsight,
it was needless.
It was inappropriate.
Let me take a few messages and come back.
I mean, my attitude is that, Kwame, we should have a positive attitude towards the report, including all the past ones,
and learn from
ask ourselves questions, because it's true that all by institutional impunity is a reality. We'll refer to Ayawaso West Wagomosi. It shouldn't have happened. It happened. what the only thing I mean, there was a report and it was not made public. That's not true. That report is public document. It was printed by the Ghana Publishing
House.
Company.
Assembly Press.
When it's done that way, it's public. And I'm
yeah, because you can access it.
Yes. No, gazetted. The white paper and the report were all gazetted. So it's a public document. So that one too, I believe it's a bit factually inaccurate. We refer to so many things that are in reality equal elections category 1 now. There are references to by-elections or resulting in violence. And we all know it's true. Etiwa Nyadama, Chereponi, Talensi, all these things are hard facts. Some of them, people were punished, some people were not punished.
Off the hook.
Into a fact.
Kweku, I'll come back to you and Kabila, get ready. Chairman.
Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.